Good evening, welcome to World News. I am Wisdom Onyisi. First, the headlines. Nigerian government frees 6 and bad governance protesters to arraign 3. Sudanese foreign minister calls for an end to double standards and selectivity. 6 dead after record rain causes flood in Japan. And on sport, Man City players accuse Arsenal of dark art as Arteta hails miracle. Now the news in details. The federal government over the weekend released 6 and bad governance protesters out of over 1,403 arrested and detained nationwide. A federal high court sitting in Abuja had recently granted an impossible bail of 10 million naira each to 10 of the protesters arraigned before the court on treason-related charges. The protests, which began on August 1, 2024, were sparked by the worsening economic crisis, hunger, and demands for good governance. However, security agencies had used excessive force, leading to casualties and arrests. This came as some lawyers criticized the federal government's repressive tactics against demonstrators in response to the End Bad Governance protest. They argued that charges of treasonable felony and sedition against protesters were unfounded and aimed at intimidating citizens. Away from that, concerns as Tinubu yet to appoint ambassadors for 109 foreign missions. Nigeria, South Africa's most populous nation and one of the 8 largest economies, has spent over 13 months without ambassadors in 109 diplomatic missions worldwide. The diplomatic vacuum has raised serious concerns about the country's standing in the global arena and its capacity to navigate the increasingly complex international relations. Following President Bola Tinubu's inauguration, a reassessment of foreign policy led to the recall of 83 ambassadors, both career and non-career, from their post in September 2023, but the subsequent appointment of replacement has yet to occur. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, had said the ambassadors served at the president's behest in their host nations and that it was the president's prerogative to send or recall them from any country. The envoys were instructed to return to Nigeria by October 31, marking a shift in diplomatic strategy and suggesting that the government was looking to realign its foreign engagement to better serve national interest. Away from that, the Nigerian Army says troops of its 6th Division have eliminated 2 suspected oil thieves and arrested 18 others during different anti-illegal bunkering operations in the Niger Delta. The spokesperson for the division, Danjuma, made this known in a statement in Port Harcourt, said the operations were held in Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Delta, and Rivers. Danjuma said the soldiers also destroyed 13 illegal refineries, seized 60,000 liters of stolen petroleum products, 7 boats, and recovered 2 AK-47 rifles. According to him, 8 illegal connection points installed on wellheads and pipelines were uncovered during the operation, stating that vandals engaged the troops in a gun battle while raiding illegal refining site in Ahoda West local government area. Danjuma further stated that troops dismantled 4 illegal refinery sites, seized 2 boats, and confiscated 6,000 liters of stolen petroleum products during an operation in Bile Rivers. In Delta State, the Army spokesperson disclosed that soldiers intercepted a wooden boat siphoning crude oil from wellhead 8 at Okpoko Oil Field, Warri South local government area. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now news from other parts of Africa. Flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party NPP, Mahamudu Biama, has expressed gratitude to God for his position as the first on the presidential ballot paper for the 2024 presidential election. Speaking about the positioning during his interaction with the congregation of the church, Biama attributed it to the will of God. Although many have questioned circumstances under which Biama got the number one, he believes it was divinely orchestrated by God. Biama got the number one position on the ballot after NPP representative at the balloting head by the Electoral Commission picked the much sought after number twice during the balloting. Away from that, we'll have you know that Sudanese Foreign Minister calls for an end to double standards and selectivity. On the first day of the UN summit for the future over the weekend, Sudan's foreign minister addressed the plenary. Hasina Awad Ali denounced what he termed as double standards and selectivity in implementing the principles of UN Charter. The treaty is the founding document of the United Nations. It is supposed to codify the major principles of international relations. Nearly 80 years after the foundation of the UN, the body continues to face calls for reforms. The stability of the international order is underpinned on the respect of the UN Charter, especially the non-interference in internal affairs of other countries, the respect of the state sovereignty and its territorial integrity, and non-use of force in international relations. It's regrettable to see such double standard and selectivity in implementing these principles. The foreign minister disclosed this. Now we move to other parts of the world after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now news from other parts of the world. At least 50 people killed in coal mine blast in Iran. An explosion in a coal mine in eastern Iran killed at least 51 workers and injured over a dozen others, officials this weekend, marking one of the worst mining disasters in the country's history as others remain missing hours after the blast. The blast struck a coal mine in Tabas, about 450 kilometers, that is 335 miles southeast of the capital, Tehran. Over the weekend, weeping miners stood alongside mine cars that brought up the bodies of their colleagues, all covered in coal dust. Around 70 people had been working at the time of the blast. The state media disclosed that 17 were believed to be trapped at a depth of 200 meters, that is 650 feet down a 700 meter, that is 2,300 foot tunnel. However, figures kept changing over the weekend regarding the disaster in the rural areas, with some reports suggesting the death toll was higher. Authorities blamed the blast in a leak of methane gas. Such gases are common in mining, though modern safety measures call for ventilation and other measures to protect workers. Who have you know that 6 dead after record rain causes floods in Japan, and 6 people killed and other 10 are missing after record fall in Japan landslide in part of Japan's Ishikawa prefecture. The cities of Wajima and Suzu, which are still recovering from a deadly earthquake that devastated the area on January 1st, are among the hardest hit by the deluge. which began over the weekend and continued until noon local time on Monday. Over the weekend, both cities saw twice the amount of rainfall they typically receive in September in an average year, report stated. Dozens of rivers burst their banks, cutting off roads and isolating more than 100 communities across the prefecture, the report added. 2 of the people who died were found near a landslide-hit tunnel in Wajima. We also have that Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador says the United States is partially responsible for a wave of violence in the state of Sinaloa that has left dozens dead in the past 2 weeks, with bodies repeatedly found on public streets and highways. Lopez Obrador suggested during a press conference that Washington helped their stir up a meeting between factions of the Sinaloa drug cartel after arresting 2 cartel leaders in the U.S. On January 25th, Sinaloa cartel co-founder Ismael El Mayol Zambada was arrested along with Joaquin Guzman Lopez, son of drug kingpin El Chapo Guzman, after they landed near El Paso, Texas on a small plane. Zambada would later claim that he was ambushed and kidnapped by Guzman Lopez and hand-delivered to U.S. authority. It remains unclear why Guzman Lopez surrendered to U.S. authority and brought Zambada with him. Up next is business. Please stay with us. Welcome back now to business news. Nigeria's external reserves, which represent the country's stock of foreign currency, have reached a 22-month high of $37.39 billion as of September 19, 2024. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria revealed that as of September 19, 2024, the reserves hit the highest level since November 4th. 2022, when it stood at $37.36 billion. On a year-to-date basis, the country's external reserves rose by $4.37 billion from $33.2 billion recorded at the start of the year on January 2nd, 2024. The development showed a recovery in Nigerians' foreign currency position in the period under review. This comes as the Naira stood at 1,554.2 Naira and 1,663 per dollar at both official and parallel foreign exchange markets. The Central Bank of Nigeria will, during the 297th Monetary Policy Committee, decide on whether to continue interest rate hikes or pause. Away from that, still on business news, British Airways has cancelled all its flights from a UK city airport near Soma. The airline said in a statement that it was suspending summer 2025 operation from Southampton Airport. The statement did not give a reason behind the decision. An airport spokesperson said the move was clearly disappointing under its subsidiary BACT Flyer. The airline runs flights from the airport to Belgrade, Dublin, Faro, Malanga, and Majorca on weekends during the summer. British Airways said affected customers would be contacted with options, including rebooking on alternative flight with either British Airways or another airline, or get a full refund. At that time, it said the longer runway was absolutely critical to its viability as a regional airport and to handle a wider variety of aircraft. Still on business news, Australia's consumer watchdog is suing the country's two biggest supermarket chains, alleging they falsely claim to have permanently dropped the prices of hundreds of items. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission claims Coles and Woolworths broke consumers' law by temporarily raising prices before lowering them to a value either the same as or higher than the original cost. Coles said it would defend itself against the allegation, while Woolworths said it would review the claims. The groceries giant, which account for two-thirds of the Australian market, have come under increasing scrutiny in the past year over alleged price gouging and anti-competitive practices. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said the alleged conduct, if proven to be true, is completely unacceptable. SEC Chair Ginal Katimleb said Coles and Woolworths have spent years marketing their prices dropped and down promotion, which Australian shoppers now understand to represent a sustained reduction in the regular prices of products. Still to come is sport. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Hillstv, Poker.
Welcome back now to Sport News. Of Inter Club competition this season. 9-time Nigerian champions Eyimba Football Club of Aba qualified for the group stage of the season CAF Confederation Cup after a 3-2 penalty shootout win over Etoile del Flantel of Burkina Faso in Uyo on Sunday. But the story was different for reigning Nigerian Premier Football League champions Enugu Rangers, who failed to make the group stage of the CAF Champions League. Rangers lost 3-2 on aggregate on Angolan club Sangrada Esperancal of Angola as their return to the continent after a decade was cut short in Luanda. They had unconvincingly won the first leg 1-0 in Uyo before falling to a 3-1 defeat in Angola over the weekend. Eyimba's win didn't come without a drama either, as they needed penalties to advance to the group stage of the Confederation Cup despite playing the return leg at home. Away from that, Manchester City forward Bernardo Silva said only one team came to play football in their 2-2 Premier League draw with Arsenal, who were accused of employing dark arts at the Etihad Stadium. But Gunners manager Mikel Arteta claimed it was a miracle. The side came so close to victory after playing the second half with 10 men. John Stones' 98-minute equalizer denied Arsenal what would have been a huge victory over the defending champions. After wingers Leandro Trossard was controversially sent off in first half injury time, the Gunners had just 12.5% of possession in the second half. City had 28 shoots in the second period, a number of eclipsed only by momentous Aguero title-winning second half against the QPR in 2012. Arsenal were second away from becoming the first away team to win at Etihad since Brentford in November 2022 and moved to top of Premier League before Stones snatched a point that instead returned City to the summit. We also have you know that Barcelona goalkeeper and captain Marc-André ter Stegen is to have knee surgery today over suffering a ruptured patellar tendon during Sunday's La Liga victory against Villarreal. The German international was carried off on a stretcher during the first half after his right knee buckled as he landed while catching the ball. Barcelona, they say, will provide a further update after his operation with no time scale yet, but on the 32nd-year-old recovery. Ter Stegen has made more than 400 appearances for the club since joining from Borussia in 2014. I beg your pardon. Hansi Flick's side beat Villarreal 5-1 to maintain their 100% record in La Liga and move 4 points clear of Real Madrid at the top of the table. And that's your sport news on What News. We move to the rest of the news after this break. Stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Hillstv, Polka.
Welcome back now, the rest of the news. Israel strikes more than 300 Hezbollah targets. Israel unleashed its most widespread wave of airstrikes against hundreds of Hezbollah targets on Monday, killing at least 100 people by Lebanese studies, and one citizen to evacuate areas where it said the armed groups were storing weapons. Israel deepened its attacks after some of the heaviest cross-border exchange of fire, and also shift its focus to its northern border, where Hezbollah has been firing rockets into Israel in support of its ally Hamas, which is fighting a war with Israel in Gaza. Lebanon's health ministry said at least 100 people had been killed, including women, children, and medics.